All right.
I'm gonna try and make myself big. There we go.
Hi, Alyssa. Hi, beautiful people. Please come on in and take a seat. We are just getting started. Mr. David Puck is playing with easels and props to get his space ready for you. So welcome, everyone. Sorry for the late start. We are so thrilled to have you here today with our fourth installment of our Home Share Dailies. Today, we bring you the beautiful David Puck. If you are not muted already, if you could mute yourself, that would be great. And Tony, I think you could mute everybody. I encourage you guys to show your beautiful faces so that Mr. Puck can see his audience and speak to you guys directly. And we will be doing this live on Instagram and Facebook Live as well. And we encourage you to raise your hands throughout this. There's a little raise hand button or a chat. This is more interactive than our past shows. Our past shows were very performative and we opened the curtain and allowed you into somebody's bedroom. But this, we really want to engage you and share you. So if you, Tony, everything okay? Okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah, tomorrow we are going to have trumpeter Ethan Marks join us for our 2 o'clock show on this same channel. Ethan Marks messes with sound and plays with his trumpet to create different noises and different sounds for you. And as always, if you are working right now and receiving a salary, we would love it if you guys would visit our Venmo at ArtShareLA and donate a little pittance there. Any amount will help. So I am going to turn it over to David, but my screen is showing Henry. So is there any way, Tony, you could go up to David's and say spotlight him? Hi, Henry. You look great.
Oh, Henry can take over. Henry,
yeah, Henry, take it away. So yeah,
okay. I'm getting a message from Henry, and he's telling me that I can take over now.
Okay, cool. So we are introducing David Puck. He is a painter and a muralist. He always works from home, but he also works in the streets of LA and throughout the United States. He has over how many murals on the streets? You have so many.
God, I don't even know how many to count. I know it's 9 countries now. That's the tally that I'm keeping.
That's impressive. And you highlight and beautify the LGBT community and focus on mental health. So without further ado, and I'll stay unmuted, David, so that we can interact as well.
Okay, great.
And
thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. What did you say?
I said thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the introduction. And yeah, I'm David Puck. It's nice to meet everyone who's here. I can't actually see any of you right now, but I'm going to imagine your beautiful faces. And like Cheyenne said, I'm primarily a painter and a muralist, and this is some of the work I have behind me. This is my wall of unfinished work, which is why it's up on my wall anyway. I didn't set this up just for the video. So that's kind of one of the things that I do to have the paintings rolling and to think about what do I want to change with them or what do I want to move to. So this wall kind of represents everything that I'm working on at the moment and some changes, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So yeah, like Shane said, I do abstract portraiture, pretty much all traditional with like different mediums, and the 2 themes are like constantly running in my work LGBTQ culture and community and visibility, and mental health awareness, which are 2 things that are super important in my life and I also believe very passionately about, can do a lot of good and help a lot of people in the world for the values that they espouse. So those are the kind of things I'm thinking about, and those are the people that I represent as people that fall into those areas. Yeah, and I'm in my studio / bedroom in LA. I'm originally from England, and I just moved to LA a year ago. And I'm pretty new to this space, and I don't want to move the camera around too much, but I'll show you a little bit of some of the spaces.
That's just me chatting, telling everyone to put your questions here.
I'm bad at multitasking. I'm like, can I read and talk at the same time? Yeah, and I have pretty much always worked out of my house. I think as artists, it's very challenging, no matter where you live, to pay double rent, and especially in LA where the rent is high. So over the years of doing that, I've developed a lot of habits to stay healthy, because it's honestly not great for your mental health to be in one space all the time, as we're all now experiencing because of quarantine. And you do need to build things into your daily life to be able to switch off from work, to be able to relax, to have that separation. So we can talk about that as well, because I think that's something that it would be valuable for everyone at the moment, is if it's not something you're used to, if you usually have a bit more of a varied routine. So first off, I guess I'll introduce my work in the big unfinished wall. So this kind of shows a transition of what I've been doing recently. For a long time, I work in spray paint because I do murals as well. So it's a natural part of muralism. It's big in the culture. And I really love the fast process of spray paint, and you can get really crazy with different textures, and mostly the speed is the thing that appeals to me. So that's how I started, and that's this one over here, or the one above it. I don't know, maybe I can zoom in a little bit when I'm talking about each of these. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
And so, and on the bottom is a friend of mine who's a makeup artist, and she did a makeup look inspired by my painting, and then took a photo of it. And then I thought that was amazing, absolutely incredible. She's called Kate Snicks on Instagram. And so then I did a painting of her makeup look of my painting. And that's what this one is here, which I enjoyed for the pure silliness of it. And Miss Fame is a well-known drag queen. And so that's what I was doing for a really long time. And recently a few different things happened, and I just decided that spray paint is not a good thing. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for ourselves, even when you use protective masks and things like that. But pretty much the whole time I've been painting, I'd only ever used spray paint. So it was scary to try and find alternatives that would work for me, because I was so into the process and the effect, and I was enjoying the work I was doing and exploring it. And like I said, it's really useful for murals too. So in the last few months, I've changed a lot of what I've been doing just through trying to replace spray paint. And initially I really didn't want to, but I felt for myself in the world like I had to. And it was scary, and it was, especially in the very beginning, I didn't like the work I was making, and it was depressing, because I wondered, will I ever be able to make something that I'm proud of again? And not enjoying the process as much either. So it was this really difficult time, but moving past that and just keep experimenting and keep trying different things, I am now in a stage where I'm more inspired and enjoying painting more than I ever have before, because of the release of using this one medium so much in this one process. And now I feel like I can try so many different things. And obviously I'm still just doing portraiture because that's what I like to do, but within it, all the mediums and the techniques have changed so much. And to me, that has been really inspiring once I was able to get over that initial hump. So that's what more of these represent. So we have, one of the things I found that I really started to enjoy was doing acrylic pouring, which when you start looks kind of like this. And I have some that I haven't worked into yet. So and you've probably seen these. They're really big on YouTube. Crafts people love them because they're so easy. You literally just pour paint on, and then gravity does the rest. But I've always really liked the abstract chaos of it, and that's something that I liked about spray paint too, was this almost chaotic element that came, and you have to let go of your control. You can't do every tiny brush stroke, you just have to let what happens, and that's been a strong like element in my work. So when I discovered this like technique, it worked really well, and then I would then turn them into these portraits. So this is the same, this is the fluid art, and then I paint the face into it. And there's quite a few different ones. You can see up the pink one, top. The cat, which I just did for ThinkSpace, which is a gallery in LA, who are amazing. And then there's some black and white ones I've been doing. And then, so after doing that, that's where this inspiration came from, to be like, yeah, I can do different processes and still stay within the type of work and the concept of what I enjoy. So then that's opened up now to do it. I just did this yesterday, painting on different patterned fabrics.
I love those.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, both of them aren't quite finished yet, so I'm going to get in there a bit more with some shadowing and stuff. But it's you can see the idea of it, and yeah, that's been really exciting to me, because I love patterns, and I guess how do I switch the camera around? I'm not, okay, I might just have to do it. But so my room, the few decorations I do have is the same kind of thing. I love bold prints, and I love florals. So I had that this fabric was already on my wall, and I was just kind of looking around. I was like, oh, I guess I could paint on that too. So I took a chunk of it off my wall and just cut it off, and then made it into a painting, which I quite enjoy.
Hey, David, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
And I definitely love how you, I feel like your work has always been portrait with abstract. Like, I don't think you've ever, at least the work that I've seen and had the pleasure of exhibiting, it's been finding the face in the abstract, or finding the abstract within the face. Like, it's such a beautiful blend. But I love the people you're depicting. The drag queens have been that was a huge run for you when you were painting a lot of drag queens. I remember in New York recently.
Yeah.
So what is your connection to the drag world, the drag culture? Do you dress in drag? Are you a performer?
Yeah, I'm queer myself, and like queer community and identity and culture has been a huge part of my life since I was like 20, I think, since around the time I came out. So I've been watching drag since even before that. I used to, like, before I came out, I would go to drag bars and stuff when I was able to get to a big city, because I'm from the countryside. So that's been a big part of my life for a long time. So when I started painting, I didn't go to art school myself. I studied history at college, and then came back to painting again a few years later. And so when I came to it, I wasn't approaching it necessarily in an academic or guided or any kind of that sort of way. I was just doing it because I wanted to paint. Because of things that were going on in my life, which would be a whole other conversation, I really just felt the urge. I needed to do it. I needed to create and to come back to this thing that I loved. So, and because of that, it was like, well, what do I love? I love drag. I love queer culture, queer community. So from the beginning, I've been painting a lot of drag artists, and then the other people that aren't recognizably drag artists they're all always queer people too, like either friends of mine or other queer creatives, and they just don't read as drag, but it's still part of the community. So I think the only people I've ever painted that aren't queer are my family. They're the only ones that get a pass. And yeah, I've been doing drag myself for the last few years, on and off. I have my drag in my cupboard. I do inanimate object drag, which is I have a number where I'm dressed as a cigarette. I have a number where I'm dressed as a coffee cup, another where I'm dressed as bread, and then it's basically just making songs into puns around that, and it's like supposed to be just really, really stupid and completely absurd, because that's what I find funny.
So tomorrow, join us again for the cigarette track.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
so since quarantine, it's been a popular thing for online drag shows, and there's a big one from LA run by a drag queen here called Bitch Pudding, called Digital Drag, I think they call it. So I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, I guess I could still be doing drag. I could join one of those online shows.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, and that I haven't been doing so much in LA. I did one performance at WeHo, but I've been focusing so much on painting while being here that I just haven't gotten around to it as much. But when I was living in Berlin, where I was before California, that I was performing a lot, and I was then painting the queens that I was performing with, and who were my friends as well. So it was all very much entwined and together.
So I've always loved how like prolific you are. I always feel like you're pushing, you're going, you're creating, you're like you always are just producing new work, and I love watching your like tenacity. So with quarantine going on, do you feel like you've slowed, you've sped up? Are you staying about the same? Like where's your productivity level, and how are you staying inspired right now?
Yeah, thank you, by the way, for that nice compliment. I think in terms of the canvas paintings, I've definitely done a lot more, because before quarantine, I was focusing way more on murals. And I think the week before quarantine happened, I did 3, maybe even 4 murals in like a week and a half. Wow. Which is a lot even for me. And I was doing that because I really, ironically, needed to get out the house. And I didn't want to be indoors painting. I wanted to be outside in the world, meeting people, exploring, talking with people. And that's one of the things for me with canvas painting. When I first came to it, I really enjoyed being alone and having time to just reflect on myself. And I think it was kind of a coping mechanism for like anxiety in the world. Whereas now, I still appreciate it for that sometimes, but not 10 hours a day, not every single day. For the most, I'm a traveler, I'm an explorer, and I really want to be out in the world, meeting people. I'm not entirely introverted. So it's always been a kind of conflict between the natural seclusion of painting and me actually wanting to be out and existing in the world. And that's where murals came in, and other things like live painting and painting with other people and trying to share spaces. Any way to just make it more sociable. So quarantine kind of came at a funny time for me because I was so resistant to being at home alone painting, and now I kind of have to. And strangely, I've been able to run with that thankfully quite easily, because I think I just accepted that this is the situation. I can't change it. None of us can change it. We just have to ride it out and see what's going to happen. So once I made that acceptance, I then was able to tap back into the mindset I used to have of just enjoying that time alone, listening to podcasts. Like I'll put movies on in the background. I'll video chat people while I'm painting. So I've been doing a lot since quarantine. So I've done a lot of canvas painting. Like, yeah, a lot.
And where are you getting your supplies right now? Art supply stores are not essential businesses.
Yeah, I guess I was lucky in that I stocked up for an unrelated reason the week before. So I just took on a big project, which I can't talk about because they're supposed to be filming right now, but it's for a TV thing, and I had to do 20 paintings for them. So it also came at a good time for that reason, because I'd just taken on this huge project. So it was a good reason to stay at home and do it. So I stocked up for that, and I spent like $100 on paint and like $300 on canvases. So I guess I was lucky. But also the other day I did curbside pickup at Blick, which I don't think they're actually doing anymore, but I guess I managed to get in before they stopped, where you could order online and then go. And I believe Michael's is still doing it. So you can order online and then drive and pick it up, and still like follow distancing.
Cool. So in the last like 5 minutes or so, you want to show us around your entire studio?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Let me see. I'm trying to work out how I can flip it around because it'll be easier for me to.
I've never done Zoom on phone. If anyone has any pointers, shoot us up on chat.
Yeah, I'll just do this and hope that I'm pointing at the right thing. So as you can see, it's not big. So one of the themes originally for today, there you go. Hey.
There you go. Hey.
One of the themes for today for me was like, I feel like a lot of the time when artists do studio tours, they have these really nice, beautiful warehouse studios. So I kind of wanted to say that I have this really small room, but you can still, and it's usually a mess. This is like clean for me, but you don't need to have like a fancy place or fancy supplies or anything like that to be making work that you enjoy and that I think my work is good. So yeah, it's a tiny space. There's my bed. There's my cat pillow, which I think is equal parts terrifying and adorable. This is the mirror I used to learn choreography during quarantine. I just learned Robin's Call Your Girlfriend the other day, the choreography from that.
Nice.
This is a jungle fabric because I kind of wanted to trick myself into thinking that I was in nature. So I thought if I just had a lot of images of nature around me and some plants, then I could imagine that I was actually in the jungle instead of in a room in LA.
Right, is it working?
I know. Plants definitely help. And if you don't have plants, I 100% recommend those because it just brightens my day to see them. And I've only killed 2 of them so far. So.
Not bad.
And then outside, this is the balcony that I do spray painting and the acrylic pouring on because that can get really messy. And then this is my lovely street I'm in Boyle Heights, which is near downtown LA. Yeah, and then that's kind of it. And then I think the theme for my space is because I've basically moved every 3 to 6 months for the last 5 years, and being in LA for the last year is unusual for me to be here this long. So my go-to for nesting and setting up spaces has always been what is easy to get, what's affordable, and what can I either carry with me and pack away very easily, or what do I not care if I have to get rid of it. So that's where wall hangings come in, or this plastic shelving is super light. So I'm not very good at nesting. I think my nesting tactic is essentially how do I get in and get out as fast as possible. Wow. Which may also be useful for the current world situation that we're going through.
So we might tune in next week and his room will be empty, but a paintbrush laying there in the center of the room.
That's my ideal room, isn't it?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any last words from you or questions from the audience?
Well, for me, I just want to say thank you for having me, and it's nice to kind of talk to everyone, even though it's been one-sided on my part. And if people can follow me on @DavidPuck, PUCK artist on Instagram. And if you want to like talk, send me a message. I'm always down to chat or.
Thank you. Did somebody have a question? No? All right, cool. Well then I'm gonna sign off and just say thank you so much, David. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and your thoughts and showing us that you don't need to have a teeny you don't have to have a big luxurious place to create some amazing artwork.
Yeah. You too can make art in a shoebox room.
And I think also we could take away that it's really about spirit. You know, if you can put your spirit, if you keep your spirit and your energy up, you can be creating work. And so, you know, don't get down on yourself, don't get down on your craft, but really, you know, keep creating, keep showing, keep creating your work. You have so much time now on your hands. Put it into the right place.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's an interesting balance. I think on the one hand, people don't want to put pressure on themselves. Like if what you need right now is to just try and relax or to just try and spend time with people or whatever it is, there's no pressure to have to create just because we have this time. But at the same time, if you do want to use that to motivate you, and to fill your day and to take your mind off it. There's nothing like getting involved in a project to really take your mind off of the world. Like once you get in that flow state, it doesn't matter what else is happening around you. So it's either way. There's different ways people can go. I think I think that's an interesting conversation to have in itself, in like longer format, is different ways to go about navigating this time and how art can play into that or not.
Yeah, very true. And I think artists, we need, if you are compelled to create, we can be the voice right now for what's happening in our crazy society. So, and I love you bringing up the flow. I think that's such a beautiful way to connect, like what's actually happening when you're in the flow. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, we will be tuning in tomorrow with Ethan Marks, and just sending my thanks and my love again to David. We hope to have your work again at Art Share for a gallery opening with people and hugs and food and alcohol in a normal world, in a normal environment. So
that would be lovely.
Wait, so are we not seeing you in drag? Like not even a picture before we get off this call? I don't see any. Wait, we don't get anything?
It's all in the cupboard. It's all in the cupboard. I don't have any printed pictures.
Okay, so you must post something for us so that we can add it to our story, to our Facebook post when we post the videos.
Okay, I'll put it on my story and I'll tag you.
All right, cool.
Terrible drag.
All right, guys, enjoy your Thursday. I can't believe it's fucking Thursday already. Sorry for cussing.
Yeah, I forgot this was happening today. I didn't even know it was Thursday.
It's amazing. Day 21 for me. All right, guys, we're signing off. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow too.
Yeah, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.